actionable strategy with you from 2 decades of leading sales teams and mentoring sales leaders. I would tell you to pluck the FUD. Now, before you think I'm swearing at you, let me tell you what this means. Think of it like this. It's kind of like when growing a garden of any kind. What's inevitably going to creep into that garden? Weeds, right? So you gotta get in there and you gotta pluck the weeds out of the garden. Because if you don't, they'll end up destroying whatever you're trying to grow. Well, listen, the same thing is true with our minds. Now, you may have an idea plant or some specific goal that you're trying to achieve, and inevitably, once you start pushing towards it, weeds of the mind will begin creeping in. Now, here's the reality. There's a common set of weeds every one of us experience every single day. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or FUD. You've got to pluck the FUD. Now, your success will be determined by your ability to get rid of the FUD, that fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt out of your mind. You've got to pluck the weeds out of your mind. Now, it's one thing to know about this and to kind of get the idea, and it's another thing to know how to do it, how to pluck the FUD. And I wrote the book, Pluck the FUD, to provide actionable strategies to help you to know how to get rid of the FUD. Now, there's 10 chapters in the book where I share lessons I've learned along the way that actually work in real life. It's not theory. Things like, don't fertilize the FUD. You don't want to give energy to the things that you fear. And there's 3 specific strategies to help you with this. You want to eat the frog. And my mentor, Brian Tracy, wrote an incredible book about this. Maybe you've read it. Maybe you've heard about it. And it's inspired by a thought that Mark Twain wrote, that if you're going to have to eat a frog in a day, you might as well eat it first thing in the morning. Now, this is how you own the day. And it's one way you can pluck the FUD, to get rid of that fear. Because listen, everything else you do once you've eaten that frog will be easy in comparison. Now, to pluck the FUD, you've got to annihilate the ants. And ants are really just the automatic negative thoughts that come marching into your brain. And so in chapter 4, I teach a powerful principle and tool that you can use that's like ant spray, just to those automatic negative thoughts of your brain. And you can use this tool immediately to annihilate the ants. Now, I'll go into a lot more detail in other videos on all this stuff. And in the chapters of the book, I share secrets on how to engage your reticular activating system to give yourself a kick in the RAS, in the RAS. And this alone is game changer to help you pluck the FUD and get more in your life of what you want. You'll learn about principles like amor fati, which is Latin for love of fate, with a challenge to love what is. You've also got to learn to release energy vampires and, people that are just sucking the life out of you. And you'll learn from a character, Matt, who struggles with a specific person who's sucking all the good energy out of him. You'll learn how to overcome this and how he overcame this and how you can too. You'll learn about the 3 W's that are stronger than fear and how to apply them. It's a game changer to help you pluck weeds out of your mind. Now, my mentor, Brian Tracy, asked his mentor, Jim Rohn, what's your best advice to achieve success over the long term? And Jim Rohn told Brian, you've got to stand guard at the door of your mind. Now, this is great advice because, listen, what I've found myself, my own experience through more than 20 years of in the trenches working with salespeople and leading sales teams is that the easy part in achieving success is learning the skills to be successful. The hard part is learning to guard your mind and take action despite fear. So you've got to stand guard at the door of your mind. So in this book, I go deep into each of these principles to help you pluck the FUD, with a goal to fill you with ideas that actually work, that you can put into play in real life. These principles will help you to live fearless. Now, living fearless doesn't mean you won't have fear, but it will help you fear less. And it'll also help you prevent some of the fear that you'd otherwise have when the inevitable uncertainties of life and doubt creep into the garden of your mind. And I love this from William Wordsworth. Your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers or you can grow weeds. Now, I want to close this video by sharing a deeply personal story with you. And I share this because I respect you. You are here investing in yourself. And I want to give you my very best and an actual piece of my heart to help you slay your goals. Just over 4 months ago, I was about to push record on a video just like this on one of the principles about how to pluck the FUD. And right before I pushed record, I was about to push record, I got a phone call that I was waiting for and from my dermatologist. And I had recently gone in for a skin check for a growing mole that was on my back that had turned black. And they carved it out and called me with the results of the biopsy. And it came back as melanoma. Initially, I was shocked. And I wanted to quit on my video I was about to do. And this immediately put the principles to the test on how I would apply my own teachings. But this was a whole new level of how to pluck the FUD that I had not yet experienced. Well, I decided to charge into the storm like a buffalo, like you'll read about in the book, and push record anyway, right? Despite the reasons. And this was super challenging, and it's a real experience for me. And it forced me to apply what I teach or decide not to. And just despite my fear in a super real way. And I want to share a quick update that I've had surgery. They carved out the melanoma and a pretty large chunk of it on my back, as well as pulled out 8 lymph nodes from under my armpit to biopsy. And the recovery was actually a lot harder and longer than I anticipated, but 3 weeks later, I could lift things over 10 pounds again and get back to exercising. But then I got some bad news. The biopsy of the lymph nodes came back with one having a large chunk of melanoma in it. Really, actually more than what was found initially on my back. So this became a big deal and for me in my life. And it's led to a lot of uncertainty about what the road ahead will look like. And in the following weeks after that, I've had my moments and days of feeling sorry for myself, while then also dealing with COVID for the first time. And this is one of the most challenging mental and physically times for me. And you really start thinking about what's important to you. And what's really crazy to me is during this time, I was finishing a book I've been working on every day for almost 5 years. Yep, this one, How to Pluck the FUD, How to Overcome Fear, Uncertainty, and Doubt. And I think it's no coincidence how God works in our lives, or the universe works, because there's no way I could have known I'd be plucking some serious cancer FUD out of my body while needing to take my own advice on how to pluck the FUD out of my brain. And I've held on with dear life to the ideas I teach in my book. These are the things I've learned over the years leading sales teams, in the trenches, actually going, dispelling actual real fear. I do keynote speaking on all over with organizations all over the place, and I clung to these tools to help me get through. Well, I have to be honest with you, even with the tools, I have to admit that I fell victim to letting the FUD get to me and losing heart at times due to the uncertainty on how this will play out and not knowing the road ahead. But they definitely helped me process through that FUD quicker and stronger. But then for some good news. I recently had an MRI and a CT scan and got news that there's no sign of spread beyond the lymph nodes. But I couldn't be more relieved and grateful, my wife and my family. And here's the thing I want to share with you. The weeds of the mind will grow or die based on our focus. The things we focus on expand just like looking through a magnifying glass. And as Tony Robbins puts it, where focus goes, energy flows. And I challenge you to identify and pluck the weeds out of your mind. And I look forward to helping you with tools that you can use, that you can grab onto and pull those weeds out of your brain. If you haven't already, you can pick up your copy of the book linked in the description of this video. And with that, make it an incredible day.